The African sun poured its molten gold across the endless savanna, each blade of tall grass swaying like waves on a restless sea. The air shimmered, heavy with scents both ancient and alive, the earthy musk of dry soil, the faint sweetness of wild blossoms, and the pulsing rhythm of distant herds migrating as they had since the beginning of time. Yet beneath that beauty stirred hunger, not the casual yearning of appetite, but the primal gnaw that claws at the ribs and clouds the senses. Rudo, a lion in the prime of his strength, his mane dusted with the bronze of sunlight and time, moved like a king searching for a crown he had lost. Each muscle rolled under his golden hide like coiled thunder, his paws kissing the earth with deliberate weight. His amber eyes narrowed as a scent pierced his hunger, rich, raw, undeniable, fresh meat. But something in his spirit trembled, a whisper of unease like the rustle of scripture reminding man of hidden snares. Yet hunger was louder than caution. He crept toward a lone acacia where a perfect offering lay, too perfect. He bent, teeth flashing. One bite snap, the earth itself seemed to cry out as the trap sprang. A net surged upward like a serpent of rope and steel, coiling him in its merciless embrace. Rudo roared, a sound that should have split the sky, but instead tangled in the cords of man's cruelty. For all creation is groaning in the pains of bondage. The king of the plains now dangled like a prisoner of dust, caught not by nature, but by man's hands. And in that instant, the savannah itself seemed to hold its breath. The cry of the lion traveled farther than wind, stirring leaves, shattering stillness. And among the branches of a fig tree nearby, 10 vervet monkeys startled into chaos. Mischief turned to madness as they swung wildly, tails arched, chattering shrill. At their center was Kibu, wiry, wise, and weathered with the cunning only years in the wild can carve. His sharp eyes darted to the acacia where Rudo struggled. The monkeys burst forward, a storm of fur and energy, rushing branch to branch until the sight froze them. The king of beasts, Rudo, who once commanded earth with his roar, now dangled helpless, his pride bleeding with every strained breath. At first, laughter spilled out of the troop. They screeched, they pointed, they mocked the downfall of power, safe in their canopy fortress. Some hurled twigs, others prodded the dangling net with daring fingers. But then silence. The lion's groan, deep and breaking, shook something primal in them. One great paw, twisted and bleeding, brushed the mesh with a sound like tearing cloth. His eyes, no longer blazing with fury but dimmed with pain and dignity, found theirs. A shift fell upon the troop like evening shadow. Kibu's chest rose, his gaze solemn. He let out a sharp trill, not of play, but of command. The mockery ended. Now came the work. One by one they descended, tugging with trembling fingers, gnawing at the ropes, straining against fibers that cut back like barbed memory. Timo, the youngest, brave beyond his years, clambered up the lion's body, his tiny teeth sinking into a knot swollen with tension. He slipped, terror shrieking in his throat, but another monkey caught him, arms outstretched like grace itself. Two are better than one because if one falls, the other lifts him up, and so they labored. Rope strained, teeth ached, but the cords of man were crueler than their will. Hours passed. The savannah's sun began to bleed into red horizon. The monkeys, panting, dropped one by one, but Kibu looked beyond, far on the horizon, past the waves of golden grass, past thorn and shadow. A glint of hope stood like a tower against despair. The ranger station. Kibu's heart pounded, his decision written in fire. To leave the troop, to cross open plains, to risk hawks above and teeth below, it was madness. Yet the call of humanity stirred within him. He looked once more at Rudo, straining, fadding, his great body trembling under the cruel snare. Then Kibu climbed higher, until the fig tree's crown lifted him into the last rays of sun. He leapt. Branch to branch, earth to earth, air rushing against his face, Kibu became the pulse of survival itself. A hawk's shadow swept near, he ducked, heart thunderous. Thorns clawed at his fur, he hurdled. Impalas scattered in alarm as he shot through, a spirit made flesh, driven by something higher than instinct, compassion. The righteous care for the needs of their animals. At last, the ranger station rose before him like a promise. Inside, Ranger Elias polished his binoculars, his heart attuned to the land's rhythm after years of communion. When the frantic thumping came, claws on wood, screeches tearing through silence, he looked up. A monkey, not just noise but desperation carved in every sound. Kibu pulled, pointed, pleaded. Elias, a man who had seen too much of cruelty to doubt mercy, grabbed his kit and followed. Through thicket and thorn, guided by the urgent leaps of Kibu, Ranger Elias carved a path. His boots broke branches, but his spirit flowed with quiet purpose. The monkey never slowed, his cries like a compass for hope. Finally, the clearing opened. Elias froze. Beneath the acacia, swaying weakly in the last breath of day, was Rudo, the lion. His chest heaved shallow, his golden eyes dulled not with rage but with surrender, a silent plea to the only species cruel enough to trap him and kind enough to set him free. Elias' jaw tightened. A poacher's net, he muttered, rage and sorrow in equal measure. Without pause, he unpacked, rope, ladder, knife. The monkeys, as though understanding, steadied the ladder, climbed alongside him and tugged where human hands could not reach. It was a communion, beast and man, predator and prey, all bound by one mission, to break the chains of cruelty. The knife slashed, the net loosened. Rudo's body dropped, heavy with exhaustion, yet alive. The lion's eyes met Elias, a flicker of gratitude glimmering where fury once reigned. For a heartbeat, man and lion stood not as enemies but as kin. The wolf shall dwell with the lamb, and the lion shall eat beside the ox. The ropes fell. The savannah exhaled. And in that silence something eternal was restored. The last chord snapped, and silence fell as though the earth itself had bowed in reverence. Rudo dropped, not with violence, but with a heavy grace, the ground receiving him as tenderly as a mother cradles her child. Dust rose, golden in the dying light, shrouding him in a halo of survival. His sides lifted, fell, then lifted again. Breath, life. Against the cruelty of man's snare, life had triumphed. Ranger Elias stood frozen for a moment, the knife still trembling in his hands as if he too needed to believe what he was seeing. The king of the plains, broken, bloodied, yet unbowed, was free. The Lord sustains all who fall and raises up all who are bowed down. Slowly, carefully, Elias crouched, a water bottle uncapped, antiseptic at his side. Each step was measured as if approaching holy ground. And when the lion lifted his weary head, eyes meeting his with something beyond fear, beyond instinct, something almost human, the world itself seemed to hold its breath. The permission was silent, but it was there. Elias worked, dabbing wounds, cleansing torn flesh, wrapping what he could. Above them, branches bent low under the weight of watching eyes. The monkeys, once mockers, now mourners, gathered in solemn reverence. Kibu inched closer, tiny fingers brushing burrs from the lion's mane as others plucked thorns and wiped away dust. Predator, prey, and man enemies by nature, yet bound in mercy. For an hour, time seemed suspended. No bloodshed, no terror, only hands, paws, and hearts laboring in unity. The wolf shall dwell with the lamb, and a little child shall lade them. By morning, the savannah awoke renewed. The light broke free, bright and unfiltered, scattering shadows across the clearing. Rudo stirred, the weight of exhaustion still heavy, yet a fire rekindled in his veins. He trembled as he pushed against the earth, every sinew stiff with pain, but then with one mighty heave he stood. The lion was upright once more. His mane caught the rising sun, glowing like a crown restored. Elias stepped back, arms crossed, his chest swelling with both relief and reverence. In the branches, the monkeys held their breath, eyes wide, hearts thundering. Rudo turned, scanning the land of his captivity and his salvation. His gaze lingered on the acacia that had betrayed him, the man who had freed him, and the troop who had stood by him in his darkest hour. And then a final glance, a long and lingering look that seemed to whisper, "I remember." With deliberate steps, his paws pressed into the earth once more, his tail swaying like a reclaimed banner, his mane flowing with the rhythm of triumph. He walked into the open savannah, the wild welcoming him home. The monkeys erupted, shrieks of joy echoing across the plains, leaping from branch to branch in unrestrained celebration. Kibu, wise and proud, thumped his chest twice, a warrior's salute. Elias' eyes glistened, his lips curving into the faintest of smiles. The righteous man regards the life of his beast. Later that day, Elias marked the site, dismantling the cruel trap, and alerted authorities with grim determination. Another weapon of greed undone, another chance to protect the balance of the wild. But it was not the act of destruction he carried home that night, it was the memory. At his desk, pen scratching across worn pages, he wrote, "Today I witnessed more than survival. I saw compassion beyond species." A lion freed not by strength alone, but by the smallest of allies who mocked him first and then became his heroes. In the heart of the savannah, where tooth and claw write the laws of life, I saw mercy. In the silence of the wild, where words hold no place, I saw the loudest jest.